Welcome to the Back 9 Six-Pack with Mitch and Justin. Let's roll.
Hello and welcome to episode 102 of the Back 9 Six-Pack. My name is Mitch, joined as always by my esteemed colleague Justin. We're in that time of year where we get to play the "Is it allergies or am I sick?" game.
Oh my god, dude! I'm confirmed mine are definitely allergies, but it took me like 3 or 4 days to figure it out because I went back on allergy medicine and it disappeared. I'm like, okay, so I'm definitely not sick.
There we go, get that liquid death going. Yeah, I kind of, you wake up this morning, you got a little bit of scratch in the throat. It's like, is it drainage? Is it, something's coming on? You sneeze a little. Just that time of year. It feels like with the late, bloom and everything, my God, we just got just smacked in the face with the pollen, all at once.
Well, especially with all the rain we had, I think it pushed off, the actual growth for about a week or week and a half, and it's just pushed it till right now. It's brutal. I have 2 pine trees on my deck, right off my deck, and the wind blows and you can just see the pollen flying off. It's like, that can't be good.
No.
No.
And it's, peek behind the curtain for me. It's draft week. We've got down at the PFF headquarters in Cincinnati, for those that did not know that. So we got people flying in from literally around the world to do these live shows and stuff. So I'm actually going down to the office a lot this week, and I'm sick. This is the time where the throat's scratchy. Am I about to super spread some stuff around, or what am I doing here? So we'll see.
Now, do you guys have a draft party? Are you guys having a draft party Thursday night?
Kinda. We do live shows. A free ad for my company here. We do live shows on YouTube, Peacock, and Fubo actually.
Okay.
Fubo, excuse me. But every night of the draft, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we're live. The draft is happening.
Like a simulcast or whatever.
Yeah, simulcast. So you'll get, all of our experts and analysts breaking down everything. Chris Collinsworth is going to be on Thursday night with us, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, so we've got a lot of people coming in. So we've got dinners Tuesday. I think we have the office is sick, and we've got a nice rooftop patio situation. So I think Wednesday night we're just catering in food and lighting up the fires out there and just hanging out and
nice
all that. So it'll be cool. It's when you're working for a remote first company, it's always nice to get together and see everybody, especially around an event like the draft for us.
For sure. Well, you said Chris Collinsworth, and it's so funny. Us at least in Cincinnati, people know him for his chair slide. Obviously, he's involved with PFF. Whenever someone says Chris Collinsworth, I can't help but think about the Western Southern commercials. Chris Collinsworth here, tell you about Western Southern Insurance. That's what I think of. I know all the things you could think of him about. That's what I think of first.
Hey,
I've heard the commercial 8,000 times.
There's a couple things. So shout out to them though, because Western, that's reciprocal advertising because they sponsor our shows. So there's that. So I think of the "now here's a guy" phrase. That's kind of what he's known for.
Oh yeah.
And then locally too, another local commercial, Camargo Cadillac was always the big one for him. So
he's an ad guy. I love it though. He's an ad guy.
He's great. I think I forget what the guy's name was at Camargo Cadillac. It might have been Greg Meyer or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I sold him a set of X22 irons back in the day from the Kenwood Dicks. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Man, that's a throwback right there. We actually drove past we were driving that way through Kenwood, and this is really hyper local for people. But that Dicks is I don't think it's there anymore. So
no, it's not. They kind of consolidated. I think it's Liberty Township now, and then Coleraine, and there's one more, maybe Florence.
Yeah.
Or no, Mason, excuse me, Deerfield Township. So yeah, they have consolidated a little bit. That was actually a really good Dix that you worked at, the Kenwood one.
Yeah, it was sick. It was a double decker inside of a sort of mall or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one was awesome because you would get, we're way off track now, but that was awesome. You would get serious athlete celebrities.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
We'd see Ocho Cinco all the time. Nick, I think one time sold some tennis gear to Leighton Hewitt, for those that follow tennis.
Gosh,
the Australian tennis player. He said he handed him his credit card, and it was one of those it was that thick,
the metal black one, the metal black card.
So yeah, that's a throwback. That's 15 years ago at this point.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that crazy?
Jeez. Anyway, Trip down memory lane. If you were here, please smash the like button. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, rate, and review the show. Follow us on social media at Back96Back, and send us some fan mail. We'll get to fan mail later in the show here. We got a couple that came through. But yeah, as I mentioned before, NFL draft week, last season, we went through it with both of our teams a little bit for different reasons. We don't have to go deep on this or anything, but I just wanted to know, as a Packers fan, look, the draft is in Green Bay. That's pretty sick to begin with.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that. I think it's going to be incredible, if we're being honest.
Oh, yeah. Taking it to Titletown should be a nice setting. Hopefully the weather's good. But yeah, what's on your wish list as a Packers fan? What are you looking for here?
I mean, look, there's always a wide receiver on our wish list. we've been so neglected by first round wide receivers. I mean, look, I would love a wide receiver. I don't know really what's going to be super available at 23 that's worth taking in the first round as far as wide receivers. There's some rumors they're going to take a defensive back because some weird stuff going on with Jair Alexander. Maybe some defensive line. Feels like they kind of get you excited. And I think teams put stuff out there to kind of throw people off the scent a little bit. But I'd be hard pressed to believe that they're going to take someone on the offensive side of the ball. Maybe if they do, it's going to be some kind of offensive lineman. The guy from like Texas or whatever, drawing a blank on his name.
Banks?
Yeah, Kelvin Banks. Yeah. So that's been rumored, but I have a feeling that it's going to be a defensive player. Especially with all the stuff with Jair Alexander. He's just not been able to be healthy. I could see it being a defensive back for sure. Trying to fill those, maybe backfill those shoes, even though he's still under, Jair's still under contract. He just can't stay healthy. So
right. There's a lot of rumors about the Bengals and mixing his name with it. I'm like, please stay away. We do not. I don't want it.
Yeah, look, he's like an unbelievable player. I mean, but he just it's like for 8 games a year. Like that's been the kind of the thing the last couple of years. It's like 8 to 10 games you get them, and that's it. And it's always like it's never anything serious, like super. It's like ticky tack, like hamstring. Ankle. It's always something super ticky-tacky, which means to me it's like, how fragile are you? But if you're paying a guy that much money, you can't only have him 10 games a year, Yeah. So my guess is defensive back is what they're going to go. But I could see him taking that guy from Texas if he's available. They do need some offensive line help. They had a couple free agents this year that were on the offensive line that they didn't retain. They did sign one, but I just think you can never be deep enough at that offensive tackle or offensive guard, as we've seen with the Bengals, right? So
exactly. Yeah, good transition there. So Bengals side of things, look, the offseason, they did the splashy, extended T and Jamar. That was hotly debated. I know a lot of people want to see that happen. Look, now that it's happened, sure, I'm in. But there's still lingering issues with Trey Hendrickson. What's going to happen there? They're in this fight with the county and the city over, the stadium. Because the lease I think they have to renew the lease by the end of this year or something like that.
Yep.
But they want I don't know. It's a hot mess.
Well, and then you have like Katie Blackburn.
Yeah, she pulled
coming out and being like, we can go anywhere. It's like, actually, probably not. Like, hey, you want a team that's never made a Super Bowl in your town? Like, that's a tough sell.
Well, yeah, and now you got guys like Mike Florio's out here floating rumors like, hey, Chicago's looking to build a stadium. They could easily do that if they had a second team in the house, So now there's Bengals Chicago rumors floating around. That's probably not going to happen.
Ask the Chargers how that's gone for them.
Yeah, I know.
Like not being the team that's there, right? And trying to move in. The Rams obviously were there at one point, right? The Los Angeles Rams. So it was kind of an easy transition. And then the Chargers tried to do it, and it just has not been the same. Ask the Chargers how that's gone. Considerably less fans than Rams games, for sure.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, all of that bullshit aside, this draft, look, my wish list is not very long. Just draft people that can play. Like, that sounds really stupid, but like, you just have to have like people you can put out on the field and can reliably play them. They have recent times, these high picks, like they take these developmental guys.
Yeah,
they're always looking for a value, right? They're like, oh, this guy could have been, a top 5 pick or whatever, and we got him at 16. Okay, cool, but he hasn't played. Sam Hubbard literally has outplayed Miles Murphy, and the guy just retired this year. And Murphy couldn't get on the field. So even Mims is like, yeah, I think he's probably going to be pretty good. We saw flashes, but still, that was a piece that they had to throw him out there, and he was probably not ready. So just, I don't care what the player is. Like, they need help in the trenches big time. Defense was awful last year. They could use it at all 3 levels. Just take a player that you can put out there, and they're going to be a starter for you for the next, I don't know, 4 or 5 years.
I will say that's the one thing the Packers have always done really well. They've always just we're not here for developmental pieces. Like, we're here to get guys that can play right now. Just for instance, like last year, like Edgerrin Cooper, they got him in the second round, and the guy was he played right away. He's not a developmental guy. Like, he had the skills to play right away. It's not like, well, this guy's ceiling is really high, and it's like, yeah, but like you said, they what's the offensive lineman they took? It was like coming off an ACL injury, and it's like he slid down the board to them, and they took him, and he sucked.
Yeah.
So yeah, they just got to get guys that can play right away. I mean, it's just they have to because of salary cap stuff too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They just have to have guys that they can't take a 2-year route to finally make it on the field.
For sure. I don't know. Some of the signings they made, they signed that your boy Slayton or whatever his name was. Seems like he's just kind of a run stopper.
Yeah, he's good. He's good. That's actually one of the things that the Packers might be in the draft for, is some interior defensive line after losing him. He had a pretty good end of the season last year.
I think they brought back BJ Hill. They signed Slayton. They drafted, I think it's McKinley Jackson and the mutant, the guy from Michigan, Chris Jenkins.
Yeah.
So just trying to read the tea list, seems like they probably feel pretty comfortable about the defensive interior there. If they don't get a guy that they want. So I'm thinking it's probably going to be offensive line or secondary is what my guess is. It's just me trying to read the tea leaves here.
Yeah. And I would say this is the first draft in a long time that the Bengals have to be way more strategic about who they take, because it's no longer being like, well, so-and-so dropped down the board and he's the best available. We got to take him because he's just the best available. We may not need that position. They've kind of been in that situation the last 3 or 4 years where it's like, hey, just take the best available. Doesn't really matter, where they kind of fall position-wise. This year's the first year with the salary cap stuff where it's like, you can't just, if the best available is, a wide receiver per se or something, like somewhere where they're kind of deep, you just can't take them, right? No. They're in a different spot, and it makes it hard. I mean, it really does, because then you feel like you might be reaching for a guy, right? You're like, well, we really need offensive line, and it's like, but we have a second round grade on this guy, but it just makes it way harder to draft that way.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and one thing I'd be remiss to say, they obviously need edge help, especially with some remaining uncertainty with Trey. And they have 0 pass rush outside of him. So luckily for them, it seems like it's a deep position. My fear feels like it's a lot of these guys that are more developmental. They're more like off ball rushers, stand up linebacker kind of guys. And that I don't know what Al Golden's going to run, how that's going to look in his system, but I worry that they're going to fall in love with one of these combine freak edge guys
that probably tested well.
Yeah. And then maybe just doesn't translate. The one guy I don't want, and I'm scared to say this because I'm afraid it might happen. He balled out at the combine, but if you just look at his numbers at A&M, didn't produce how you'd expect. I do not want Shamar Stewart. Please don't give me Shamar Stewart. And then we can clip this for later when they draft him and he's either horrible or awesome. But yeah, that's my one guy that I'm a little concerned about.
Yeah. So just to kind of change the trajectory here of this conversation, I mean, are we pretty dead set that Cam Ward's going to be the first off the board? I mean, is that kind of what what you're thinking. I mean, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. So if you, he was on a stream. I don't know what game he was playing, but he was doing something and people were firing off questions at him. They asked him to name his top 5 or top 4 wide receivers or whatever in the league. He said Calvin Ridley, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and Treylon Burks. So I'm pretty sure he's a Titan.
I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah. He also put Brian Callahan in his top 3 NFL coaches right now. So yeah, he's going to the Titans.
Yeah, that's what I was guessing. Abdul Carter is another interesting one. Where do we think he lands? Because I think he's easily a top 5 draft pick, but some health concerns maybe. I could see him sliding, as crazy as that sounds.
I don't think he gets outside the top 5 just based on everything I've read. I don't know how serious this. I think it's a shoulder issue he's been dealing with. Like if I was any team that was not the Titans, who were obviously taking a quarterback, I would be running the Abdul Carter card to the podium. If that was me sitting at 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it is.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Like think about the Browns. Like they're like the real pivot point in the draft here. Like, do they at number 2? Are they going to trade? Do they reach for a quarterback there? Do they just take Carter and then you've got Garrett and Carter against Burrow and Jackson? Like that's not bad to have.
Yeah, because my thinking is like I think Cam Ward by far is the best quarterback in the draft. I don't even think it's remotely close. I think some would argue probably it is, but I don't. I think true like ready to play right now is Cam Ward.
Yeah.
So as the Browns, it's like okay, you're not getting the best quarterback. I think you're kind of have an open book to kind of do. I would take Abdul Carter. I think he's kind of one of those guys. I'm like he's not a guy that's going to get you fired, right? Like if you make that pick, he's not like to me like a Travis Hunter or something. And you're trying to figure out whether you're going to play him on the offensive side or defense. Like that's a guy that could like bust out and get you fired for taking him second. You know what I mean? Like I'm being honest. Like I think Travis Hunter is unbelievable. It's just, there's a lot of what ifs there. And it's like, what are you drafting him as? Like, are you drafting him to be a wide receiver? Or are you drafting him to be a defensive back? Because it's really hard to play both ways in the NFL.
Yeah, his contention himself is he wants to play both ways, which makes sense for him because wide receiver money is so stupid right now.
Yes.
But like he's very like if you just had him as a corner in this draft, forget about the wide receiver stuff. He probably he'd easily be the top corner.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, I think he's a tremendous value for any of those teams. But it's going to be weird when he wants to play, and how do you deploy him on offense? And I don't know, that's tough.
Yeah. And so, are we seeing a revival? You may know better than I do. I think we're seeing a bit of a revival in the running backs getting drafted pretty high.
Yeah. Well, when you've got, Genty is such a dude, like straight up, like a guy, like, oh man, he's going to be so good. Regardless of where he goes. And then after that, it's like you have him, and then there's just like a tier of like 4 or 5 guys that like all could be day one starters in the league.
Yeah.
Depending on their situation.
Did Saquon save the running back position?
The Giants GM did by letting him go. Yeah.
Yeah. I think just people look at it and they go, Philadelphia could have never thrown the ball ever in the entire playoffs and probably still won every game.
Probably.
And now again, Saquon's a different animal, but maybe Genty's that. I think he might be. He's a little different style running, but I thought it's crazy how we went. I don't know, probably 5, 6, 7 years where it was like no running backs, like maybe at the end of the first round, but you didn't see a lot of guys going super early. And now we're kind of back to that. Maybe the running back's making a little comeback.
Yeah, it sounds like Genty will probably be a top 10 guy, and then you might not have one picked for a little bit, but you should get a second, maybe a third in the first round. And there's going to be a ton of dudes that go early in the second, basically, is what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, you have Ohio State's entire backfield. That's probably second round grades. I know early on Judkins was kind of like people were giving him a first round grade, but the run usually, and that's what's been in the past, right? It's like you may get one at like pick 25 and down, and then it was like the second round was like running back. There would be 3 or 4 go off the board. I think that's probably what we're going to see this year too.
Yeah,
outside of Genty going in the top 5.
Yeah,
but That's all. Those were kind of the standouts for me that I was kind of looking at.
I'm interested with you. Like the wide receiver question is interesting because I don't think you have your typical dominant, like, this guy's going to be a potential top 5 or top 10 pick or whatever. There's a lot of rumors that McMillan might slide, kid from Arizona, who was like kind of like a top 5 lock for a long time in this process, and he's fallen. Luther Burden was like a stud for Missouri for a long time, and then his draft stock has fallen. I don't know. It's going to be tough. And I mean, Hunter could play both ways, obviously, but so that depends. But yeah, it's like a weird, kind of an interesting, like, it's deep, but not like the high level talent you're used to at wide receiver this year.
No, I think we had such a stacked last 2 or 3 drafts that it's like the fall off it probably isn't like a super big drop off, but compared to the guys that we've had and how many we've had, it's pretty big drop off.
Yeah. Sweet. Yeah, tight end, another spot to watch too. You got a couple guys that should go early, so that'll be an interesting one.
Yeah, Colson, Loveland, maybe Bengals. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, that would feel like a luxury pick because he's going to go in the first round. Him and Tyler Warren both. And then you're probably looking at, some of these guys like Harold Fannin, who's just a stud from Bowling Green, like an athletic freak. But he's probably not going to go first round. But yeah, you're good. There's some looks at tight end, which you don't typically get.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, good to talk a little ball there. But last week we talked a ton professional golf. I think we're going to breeze through that today, but we do have a little bit of our golf to talk about. I know, look, everybody stand, round of applause. Our man has played a round of golf, a round of real golf, finally.
Thank God. Oh my gosh. It was a serious drought there for a while. And the fact that I had to like squeeze out at like 4:45 in the evening to play 9 holes, but it was awesome. I feel good.
Welcome to the real world, pal. This is a unprecedented drought. The 4:45 sneak out. I'm familiar with that one.
Oh yeah, it was God, it's perfect weather. It was a little windy, but it was perfect weather. I rolled out there. I walked and I carried. Walking's not abnormal, but I actually carried my bag. I have my new vessel bag finally in. I will be honest with you. I don't know how I had another bag ever. This thing is like I had my bag was full. Like things light. It is so light. But I went out there, walked it in 76 minutes. Can't beat that.
No.
And like the sun setting, it was just everything. It was just perfect.
Yeah,
absolutely perfect.
Those solo rounds, in that late afternoon light. Peace, man. It's peace.
It was a complete decompression from having my kids the entire week by myself. Just going out there. I thought about putting headphones in. I'm like, man, I just want to be like in the moment, like actually in nature, not kids running around being crazy. I was like, it was just nice to have some like peace and quiet by myself. I didn't really work on a ton out there. I was like, I just want to hit the golf ball. Like, go out and like make some swings. Let's take an evaluation of where the game's at, in the end of April at this point, which feels like it's crazy to even say that, but it was peaceful. And I had some good swings, had some bad swings, obviously. Putting is putting right now. Like it's hit or miss. But I think our weather's really breaking now. I think this is going to be a run of some decent golf days.
What would I know you mentioned your wedges were a little difficult, kind of the things you'd expect. But how was the off the tee game?
Off the tee was fine. Hit it relatively. I had like one bad drive. I actually probably going to post that video at some point. It was bad. It was the ultimate double cross. I'm trying to kind of hit a cut with the wind. Really hit a cut, like a hard cut, and just came down across it, pulled out of it, and just completely ghosted this thing dead left. But other than that, like I had some pretty good swings. Driver was great. Irons weren't bad. Look, that's crazy. Like I was hitting long irons like really well. Had some really good long irons, and then it was just like anything under an 8-iron was like just bad, just so bad. Just didn't feel normal. It felt very forced. Like the wedges, like the one from the hole I played, just like felt very mechanical, and then I ended up scooping it and coming up, 35, 40 feet short of the pin. It was just nothing. That part of the game did not feel like it felt very forced.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. I always, those first few rounds, it always feels like you're just struggling to find the bottom, The swing is just like.
It's just those shorter clubs, because I think you're like, these should be the good ones, right? Like
exactly.
This time of year, it's like shorter club, like easy, nice, easier to swing, and that has just never been the case for me. And I'm sure a lot of people struggle from 100 yards and in this time of year.
Yeah, I mean, you're trying to be precise on top of it all, and you have zero precision in your game at this point. So, yeah, it all compounds on itself for sure.
Yeah, that one I scooped, it was like an 87-yard shot to a back pin. It's like not much room behind the pin, and I'm trying to be like but I'm like downwind, so I'm trying to hit something a little more full than try to like. If I try to like baby something in there and then catch a little too much of it, it's gone. So it's kind of one of those things. Like those are the shots that really don't come around until like the end of May, after playing a little bit, maybe a couple rain sessions. That's when they finally start coming around.
Yeah, if you want to see Justin scoop wedge, go ahead and check out our Instagram page.
It went so high that it leaves the camera view. Like from 87 yards, that should never happen. Ever happen.
He posted one of the classic play a hole with video, and hey, you made a par, nice little 4.5 footer side bender down the hill. That was, it's impressive make.
Dude, I was not gonna lie. I said it perfectly in the video. April and 4.5 footers is just a terrible combination.
Yeah.
It's not a good, 4.5 feet is not good in general, but especially this early in the season, you're kind of like feeling things out. You're like, am I even aimed properly? There was a lot going through that, but I did make a good stroke. And that's why I said I hit some really good putts. I was actually a little surprised that some of the putts I hit like made good strokes. Like they didn't go in, but I felt like I made a lot of good strokes too. So
yeah. How were the greens aerated?
Yeah, they're almost done. I mean, they almost grew back. They're nice. Almost completely grown in. But it probably after this week with our 70 degrees and maybe a little bit of watering, they'll be. I would imagine probably by the end of this week they'll be completely healed and ready to go.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I desperately want to get back out there too. Like I said, I had that round where I snuck out. Haven't sniffed another one since. Yeah, we're about to enter a real busy time of year for us. We've got wedding stuff going on with family and some travel involved with that and everything. So it's going to be a struggle to get those in. But
yeah, no doubt about it. This time of year. Well, and then you like throw in. I don't know if you guys have anybody graduating college, but college graduations and it's just like there's just a lot going on this time of year.
Yeah, for sure. Well, speaking of something you can do if you're looking to improve your golf game and it doesn't take that much time, the stack. We're going to talk about the stack. My journey has continued. I think I alluded a little bit to this a couple episodes ago. I was able to get back and do some return to form sessions so I could finish out my foundation program, which I've officially done. Over 2 hours or 2.4 hours, all it took for 18 sessions. So,
that's not bad. That's like no time at all.
No. Really, you do like a 15-minute warm-up thing before you do it, and then the actual training itself only takes like another 15 to 20. So you're like, it's like a half hour, max.
Yeah, that's not bad.
So obviously the training hours don't include the warm-up, so you can do the math on that. 218 stack swings in that. So got 218 reps in over a time when I otherwise wouldn't be swinging a golf club. So that's cool. But we're up bigly. Look, the numbers do not lie. I got to see how it translates to the course when it's not blowing 30 on me. But got to do my baseline check at the end of the program. My driver club head speed when I first got the stack back in December and started it. Granted, it was cold, all that stuff. 92 miles an hour. I was bordering on having to get regular shafts at this point, possibly just going full graphite through the bag. But the stack has saved me, and I'm reborn. I can safely swing my dynamic gold S300s, no problem now. My driver speed up to 106 miles an hour. like at my fastest with the driver. So 14 miles an hour up, that equates to about 40 yards of carry gain.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah.
And I, honestly, being out on the range, because, Zach's been doing this junior golf thing, so I've gone and hit balls every time he's got a class. It translates. Like my carry is so different. And the ball was like, it's coming out of a different window, to be honest with you. Like the ball flight's up. We're high.
We're play golf this week.
I know.
Want to see this.
I need
to see this.
The biggest thing, and I've been telling people this, that I notice it way more with the irons. Like how light an iron feels in my hand and the control that I have over my swing. Instead of just like full bore ripping it to get 90 miles an hour, I'm like able just to swing with control and speed.
Yep.
I'm hitting like, I don't know what's going on, but when I'm hitting it right, I know what's going on. I've discovered face control as a 35-year-old. This is an important skill in golf. When you actually don't like shut the face down on every swing, like I'm launching them, dude. They're freaking flying.
Yeah.
And I'm hitting a little bit of a cut out of nowhere.
Okay. I don't hate that.
Now, I will say there are a couple big misses with the driver when I've hit a few slices out there, but the irons are like high little cut right now. Driver, like, I don't know. I had to crank my loft up. So we're up to 12.5 on loft. I'm proud to say I don't even care. But I was just hitting these low liners at first when I first got out there with like the new speed and whatever. So I was like, fuck it, we're just going to crank this all the way up and see what's going on. Sending them, dude. 12.5 degrees aloft. Because the problem is I've been such a low backspin player with the long clubs that I could never get any carry. The ball would just fall out of the air.
Yep.
So opening that loft up a little bit plus the speed, your boy's getting them up and out there now. So it's a different ball game. And I'm pumped. And I just started today. I started the next session that it recommended for me. They have like a algorithm thing in there. You answer some questions and they kind of figure out, okay, you should do this next. So it's a full speed spectrum training program is what I'm doing. Just set a couple PRs tonight during the first session in swing speeds at different weights. So yeah, we're getting there. It's been a fun journey, and like I said in my goals, I'm trying to complete 4 of these in the year. I got set back with the appendix, but we're on to session 2 or program 2, and we'll see where we go from here.
I'm not sure I'm prepared for you to be out driving me.
I don't think it's there. We're not there yet, and I don't know that we will get there. Just from a pure like ball striking perspective, like you just hit the center way more than I do. But I'm gonna be where I should have been.
I think the biggest thing you're going to realize if you can get your club head speed up is the miss hits are going to go further.
Yes. Oh God, I've already seen it on the range.
And I think that's the big thing. Being amateur golfers, like we don't hit the sweet spot nearly enough. But I think you're going to realize, like when you toe the ball, like how much further, like it's just going to be further than that miss hit was before this.
Yeah, and like I said, with actually like letting the loft of the club do the work, like by simply addressing and striking the ball with the correct face angle, has been huge so far.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I saw something tonight, and I'm like, I was getting a little too technical when I was out there on Saturday. Like what we forget, like this game is it's a bat and a ball, right? Like just hit it, right? Like I think when you think about it that way and like do what you're doing, right? Just get out there and just like swing the club. And you're gaining speed, and like I think it frees you up a little bit.
100% it does. Yeah, I honestly and I've said this before throughout. Like I think it's made me swing the club better. Like when you have that, and I've been at the range. I take the launch monitor with me, and I'm looking, and I'm like, all right, that the speed of that wasn't up to par or whatever. Like okay, I early extended. I could feel that I did that. So when you get that like actual data beyond just like seeing the ball go, you can tell like okay, I'm faster if I stay back, or I'm faster if I keep my hands away from my ears, that kind of like you just find these little advantages where you can pick up like a mile or two, and it makes you like practice that. And then you take it to the range, and all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, it's
this
like
feels
working.
normal. It's working. It's
crazy. So yeah, I like finding this athletic side of golf this winter has been huge for me.
Yeah, I deem myself a field player, and I think when I play my best golf, like I'm not thinking about anything. Like I might have one swing thought, but like just get up there and hit the ball. Like and I think a lot of times, like I've told other people that, like when they're struggling, I'm like, dude, just like don't even think about anything. Like just get up there and swing. Like try to hit it as far as you possibly can and just go get it. Right. I think sometimes, especially amateur golfers, you see all these videos, right? This and that, like do this, do that. Like like I saw 5 different videos last night when I'm sitting there like watching Instagram reels, and it's like, you got one guy that's like how to shallow out the club. Like people just think about stuff way too much. And I think when it comes down to it, just going out there and hitting it is underrated way to kind of figure things out.
Yeah, and I'll end this just by saying, like, the whole time my idea behind this was like, all right, I just want to raise my floor, right? And I think that's what this is doing for me. And, with the goal of trying to have a handicap that starts with a 5, that's been my goal for the last 2 years. That's like, if this lets me hit 2 more good shots that I wouldn't hit per round, that could be a massive difference in getting to that goal, right?
Yep.
So
yeah, and I think I've always believed this. Like golf is not about the good shots; it's about the mishits.
Yeah.
Like if you can narrow your mishits, because especially as amateur golfers, we're not going to hit the ball perfect every time. The narrower the mishit, the better, right? If you can kind of move that in, and especially on a driver, like mishitting it and moving that out, like that mishit further out, it's only going to make your scores go down.
Yeah. Man, now I'm God, I need to get to a course. Oh, I got to get out there. All right. That's enough of our golf. We're on to pro golf. I didn't get to watch a lot of stuff. I saw the playoff. I saw the end of the RBC Heritage. But just seeing like golf through social media this week, it felt like we almost like went back in time to like a time when I was like excited to be a golf fan.
Yep.
There was just so much shit that happened. Like JT wins in the playoff over Andrew Novak. It's his first win since 2022, the PGA Championship of all things, which was also in a playoff. He does that. You've got Joel Damon, who bogeys 3 straight holes at the end of the tournament to end up losing.
Heartbreaking.
We can get into that. Good quote from him on that. And then Neil Shipley, no lid lifestyle.
By the way, thinned out. He's lost a little weight. My guy's hitting the gym.
Pro athlete life, he's doing it big. But he wins on the Corn Ferry Tour. Real quick, I didn't have it in the agenda, but the best thing I saw in golf this week, them posting the video of him trying to say like, do the hey guys, this is Neil, whatever, and they just posted all the outtakes. Like he fucked it up like 4 times in a row before he could finally get it right. And that was such a does clip. I think it just speaks to his personality.
100%. He's a character, dude. Like that guy, he's got a personality. He definitely does not lack that. And honestly, we need more of that.
Sure.
Like guys like him, it's like kind of a big goofball, you know what I mean? But he's like also phenomenal golfer.
Right. So that was a quick rundown of just everything that happened. But like, anything to add on the JD thing? I know you said that you texted us and were like, dude, this tournament's awesome.
Yeah, look, I love the Heritage. I think it's an underappreciated event. I really do. Yeah. And it's because it's like right after the Masters. It's an underappreciated PGA Tour stop. I think it has a good setting. Like, I think 18 is one of the better finishing holes in all of the PGA Tour, specifically because it runs along the ocean there and all that. Hilton Head, you got a lot of Midwest in Hilton Head, like a lot of snowbirds down there. So you kind of get that like Midwest fandom down there, but you're in Hilton Head. And then every year it feels like there's a freaking playoff. I mean, every year it feels like there's a playoff. And, kind of watching JT come down the stretch, and man, I felt for Andrew Novak. He had a chance to win in regulation. Didn't have that far, probably like 7-8 feet maybe.
Yeah.
It just rocked. Like, and the sun was setting, it just was like in Easter Sunday. It was just a good vibe behind the tournament. I think we just lack stops like that in the PGA Tour. Like I would watch. Honestly, if they're like, hey, for 20 weeks we're going to play at Hilton Head, I'd be like, I'm in. Like, count me in. 100%.
It's one of those courses we talk about all the time where it's like that kind of sweet spot of, I don't know, 10 to 16 under, is what wins it. You don't have guys going, getting to 24, 25 under, or whatever. There's real consequence to a lot of shots out there. It's, it can be tough, but there's also a lot of risk reward holes. And you're right. Like, it's like, it has this like sleepy kind of hangover feel to it coming off.
It's like right after the Masters. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like being in South Carolina. It's like the perfect vibe for a big, like post big event.
It is. Yeah. And and I saw some hot takes about like, well, you shouldn't be in the fairway and blocked out. Like these guys are good enough that they can hit, like if they have to be on the left side of the fairway, they're good enough to hit the left side of the fairway. Now, whether they do or not, that's on length is not a challenge anymore, right? We've kind of figured out like even long rough is not really like a super hard challenge for a course anymore. So like making these guys think around a golf course, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. Like I really don't.
No, not at all.
And Hilton Head, it requires you to think around. Every hole is a thinking hole. Where the ball needs to be off the tee, where the ball needs to be, once you hit your second shot. I love that. And I think there's not enough. We don't have enough of that on the PGA Tour. It's just like, all right, how far can we push the tee back? Well, that's still not a challenge for most guys, right? Like Brian Harmon, maybe, but these guys that hit the ball a mile, moving the tee back 40 yards is okay. They're going to have a 7-iron instead of an 8-iron. Whoop-de-doo. So,
yeah, 100%. Totally with you on that. Couple notes on JT. So he credited afterwards Xander for his improved putting.
I saw that. That was kind of a weird thing.
Yeah. So he had asked him like, hey man, you're really good at a lot of stuff. Come look at my putting and help me out. And so he came down and, they spent a couple hours together or whatever. And basically what JT said was like, it got to the point where he's like, you know what? I'm just like, I don't have a home base for like what my putting is. Like he didn't have like his go-to drill, his go-to thought, his go-to anything. It was just like every week he was just trying something just to try to make it better. So he was like, basically he just got back to basics, right? And he's had a pretty good turnaround in terms of strokes gained putting on the season. So that was an interesting quip from his presser. And then the other thing I gotta find this. Were you aware of how many course records JT has?
It's absurd. I saw the graphic. I think he's got like 3 or 4 on his own, and he's tied like another 6 or 7, right? It's and then like 11 or 12.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull this up right now if I can get it.
But it's absurd. Like
he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 course records on tour. 3 of them he's the solo course record holder.
That's okay.
So the 3 he's solo, he's got a 59 at YLI, the Sony Open, 61 at Medina. I think that was like a BMW.
Yeah, which by the way is a sick place to have a course record at.
Yeah, for sure. And then he also has 63 at Erin Hills during the US Open,
which is another sick place to have a course record at. Like,
yeah. And then his other ones, Harbortown 61, he shot that on Thursday. The Pete Dye Stadium course 61, I think that's PJ West.
Yep.
The Plantation course at Kapalua 61, TBC Kuala Lumpur 61, Sawgrass 62, and Wingfoot a 65. So I mean, he's
Wingfoot, another one that's a cool one to have a course record.
I mean, that's wild. He's done it in professional events.
Yeah,
at so many different courses too. So like, I think this is a good reminder this week of like just how good that JT
can be pretty unbelievable. Yeah.
Like he's just such a good golfer, and I don't know if this drought is almost inexplicable, to be honest.
And we'll see if this is a springboard, kind of like the Rory thing. It's like, what is he going to do in these next majors now that he's got the monkey off his back? It's like, all right, what is JT going to do now that he's kind of got that slump monkey off the back, right?
Yeah.
Because it was a tough 2 years there. It was not good. I mean, I think it hit rock bottom like probably into 2023 was when it got really, 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 really bad. He had moments last year where it was like, okay, it looks like he's figuring it out. But yeah, that rock bottom at the end of 2023 was very, very low for a player of his caliber. So I'm interested to see what this does for him the rest of the year, finally kind of getting back in the winner's circle.
Yeah, he famously did not make the Tour Championship, I think, 2 years ago. As a guy that's won the FedEx Cup.
Yeah.
He had to play the Wyndham just to try to get in, and he had that chip or the pitch shot that didn't go that would have got him in.
Yeah, that was rock bottom. I mean, I truly feel like, and you wonder, and I'm not trying to like accuse him of this, but like you wonder, like guys of his caliber, they get to a certain point on tour, and they kind of put it into like a like autopilot kind of thing, and they almost need something like that to happen to like, holy shit, like I went from being one of the top dogs to I'm not even playing in the Tour Championship anymore, and what that kind of jolts in them. And maybe they didn't put it on autopilot, and it's like, I have to work this much harder to get back to where I was.
Yeah, JT strikes me as the guy who like wants it too bad. Like that's his putting thing is a perfect example of that. Like he just got lost in the sauce.
Yeah,
I think that's probably what he's been dealing with. But yeah, and then he was not selected as a captain's pick for this past President's Cup team, which now seems insane when you look at where the Ryder Cup, how that team is looking right now. So
I saw a couple tweets. We can get to that in a little bit. I don't know if you have it on there, but I think we have to hit on it because we are cooked.
Yeah, I didn't have any Ryder Cup stuff for this week, but if you saw something, please say something then, because I did not see it.
So I saw like the rankings for the Ryder Cup.
Yeah,
and then I think I even hit on it like last week a little bit, like the U.S. rankings.
Mm-hmm.
Have you looked at the European Ryder Cup rankings? Like, have you seen them recently?
I mean, I know it's just like a murderer's row. Like the last few spots are kind of iffy, but otherwise,
let's just put it this way: Victor Hovland's 12th right now.
I know.
So here's kind of the rundown, right at this moment. Obviously, Rory's in first. You have Hatton. You have Højgaard, Rasmus Højgaard, Justin Rose, Shane Lowry. Ludwig is sixth in the rankings. Think about that for a second. Okay? And then it doesn't get Tommy Fleetwood 7, Thomas Dietrich, Matt Wallace, whatever. You have the other Højgaard, Nicholas. You have Laurie Cantor and Paul Waring, and then below that is Victor Hovland. So like some of those names at the bottom don't really scare me, but like when you think like, holy shit, like they go pretty deep. Like they're gonna go deep into the factory, and like Victor's not gonna not be on this team. It's just not gonna happen. He will be on this team. Like there's no doubt in my mind he will be.
Did you even say Rom?
No.
Yeah, Rom not on there.
Yeah, he's not even on here.
Sergio has made it known how much he wants to be on this team. Like,
so look, we are cooked. Like cooked. Considering like, you run down our rankings, it's like, okay, the first four are pretty like, okay, this is a solid start. You go Scotty, Xander, Colin, Bryson. Then it starts to get a little iffy after that.
Yeah.
Jordan's not even in the top 25 for the record.
That's crazy.
Now he spent some time on the sidelines last year with an injury and all that, but he hasn't really played all that this year. Then it goes Russell Henley, Maverick McNeely, Brian Harmon, JJ Spawn, Justin Thomas is finally. I think Justin Thomas actually moved up to 7 after the win this week. Patrick Cantlay, Harris English, Tom Hoagie.
Oh,
I mean, I not good. Not great.
We need like Berger to get a win. We need Willie Z to get a win.
So Berger is finally, I think he's like 13th maybe after this past week. After him getting another top 10, he's like 13th. Like if you're like, do you want Tom Hoagie on the team or do you want Berger? Give me Berger every day of the week.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Do you want Brian Harmon on the team or Berger? So I think it's going to be interesting to see how the year finishes out and how it shakes out. It's specific. Europeans can go deep. Like unless like you get a Laurie Cantor that has a good end of the year and like sneaks into auto qualifying, you're gonna get the same names, right? Like if Victor Hovland's 13th, Victor Hovland's gonna be on the team. Like John Rahm is not even ranked because of live and all that. John Rahm will be on the Ryder Cup team.
Right.
I think there's probably zero doubt about that. So it's the American side is a whole nother story.
If this continues, I would like to go on record to say that Keegan should pick himself. And please, Keegan.
100%. Yeah. Like with some of those names, I'm like, God love Tom Hoagie. And I'm a big Tom Hoagie fan. I want no business in him playing Beth Bates play.
Oh God, dude.
Oh, it's isn't it crazy? You know, we're sitting here, what was that, 2021, and we're like, holy crap, we could win like the next 4.
Oh yeah.
And now we sit here and go, oh my God, our roster stinks. Like we got fleeced in free agency, you know, it's like we're not drafting well. Like it's just the whole combination of bad things.
Yeah, when at the end of that Whistling Straits one, it was like, here comes the era of American dominance, and then it just is flipped.
Yeah, and I you know, it's funny that I remember when the whole live thing started, like, oh my gosh, like the Europe team got way more impacted by it than the American side. And I would, at this point, in this time right now, you'd almost have to say the American side is taking the full brunt of the live when it comes to the Ryder Cup. You know, you kind of got a Brooks that just really doesn't care about anything anymore. You know, Bryson, thank God, is like gotten better. He might be the only one that after the 2021 year at Whistling Straits where we're like, all right, like he might shake out to be a pretty decent Ryder Cup player. He's the only one that's gotten better. Like JT until now has taken a step back. Jordan is just completely fallen off the face of the earth. I guess you could say Scotty has gotten better since that Ryder Cup.
Just a little.
But I'm just saying, like, there's so many guys that took gigantic steps back.
Yeah.
And only a couple guys that took step forward. And I think that's kind of where we're at now, unfortunately.
Yeah, the names used, like, that sounded like a early 2000s Ryder Cup roster.
Yeah, where like Justin Leonard is on the team, and you're like, he's either going to go 3-0 or he's going to go 0-3, and like, but like some of those names on that list, dudes ain't winning matches. Like I can just tell you that right now.
That's what I mean. That sounded like, you know, we're heading to the Belfry. We're about to get our ass beat.
It's starting to feel that way. I would not want to see this year on foreign soil. It could get even worse than it was in Rome. I mean, it really could be. I think the only thing we got is like New York sports fans are psychotic, and that might like keep it relatively close.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for that. I was not paying attention. Maybe on purpose, but you know.
Well, every time I look at it somehow gets worse. Like I don't know if it's even possible. Oh,
jeez. All right. Well, we'll keep one eye on that as we progress through the summer here. A couple other just notables. Speaking of some of these names you just mentioned, Berger came in T3 along with Brian Harmon and Matt McNeely at the RBC Heritage. Fleetwood 7th, continues to just not win but do good. Scotty T8 just can't seem to put 4 rounds together right now, but he's always kind of there. So we're I think he's still live for some majors here, but he's still not full.
No. You know, it's funny. He hasn't won this year, but he's still 3rd in FedEx Cup rankings. So.
Yeah. T18, Spieth and Xander. So, you know, continued good form from those two. T54, Colin Morikawa. We remain the absolute curse, the jinx of all jinxes in one and done. If our guy's flirting with the top 10 at all,
forget about it.
Yeah, here comes the Saturday 77. Don't worry, which is what he did. Took an 8 on 13. That was cool. And yeah, we lost ground again and coming out of a signature event, which seems impossible, but here we are.
And not to mention, by the way, like last week at the Masters, you know, Bryson's back 9 probably cost us like $500,000.
Yeah, that was like a mini little, you know, a little mini slide we got out of Bryson.
I mean, legitimately, his back 9 cost us $500,000 probably.
He is our sole one and only top 5 on the year.
That's not good. That is not good.
And the crazy part is we haven't missed that many cuts.
I know.
We just can't get a good finish.
Like I said, it's an honest living. We're just we're gonna get our tour card next year. Like, we know that with the making cuts, but we're not doing much else other than that.
We're like the Tom Hoagie of one and done.
That's a good comparison.
Oh man. All right, good news is no event this week because it's the Zurich Classic, sorry. Team event, so no one and done pick needed. So we can we'll take this week to reset and
Thank God.
Maybe come out firing from there.
I like this tournament now that they've changed the format. I really do. I enjoy I'm not going to sit and watch all day Sunday, but I'll turn it on during the week and watch these guys. I actually thought there was an interesting idea that was floated out there. Why the Zurich doesn't give an automatic bid to the 4-ball winner, the USGA 4-ball. So it's a two-man event, two-man team. Give them an invite into the tournament. I think that'd be pretty. It would just add to the change of the event. I really think that would be a good idea.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you. Get weird with it. You're already weird enough, but keep getting weirder.
So is Rory and Shane coming back this week?
They're back to defend apparently. So
wow, coming off of Masters, he took a week off, and now
yeah,
that'll be interesting. That's a good team. I mean, but I wonder if the Fitzpatrick brothers. I'm assuming they're probably back together.
Yeah, I haven't taken a look at the field, unfortunately. But yeah, there's always some. This is a fun week just to be like, oh shit, those guys are friends, or
Yeah. Well, the weirdest combination. It was 2 years ago. Sung J M and Keith Mitchell.
Yeah, I think they might be doing it again.
I think they are. They played the last 2 years together. So
yeah.
It's just such an odd, Keith Mitchell's this typical Southerner, Southern boy. And then it's Sun JM, it's guys not even from here. Definitely an odd combination, but I think it's cool to see stuff like that. And then, yeah, like you said, you were like, oh, some of the guys that are below the top 60, you're like, oh, I didn't know those two guys were close or whatever. So I think it's a good change up, especially at the last 2 weeks. You get an elevated event right after the Masters. It's kind of a nice reprieve from the normal in and out of every day, every week.
Yeah, you got this week and then the Byron Nelson, and then you're straight into another signature event, the PGA Championship. Then you get another signature event somewhere in there, and then you get the U.S. Open. So we're about to hit the meat of the season here. Yep. So real quick, I did want to follow up on that Joel Damon quote. So like I said, he bogeyed the last 3, to end up losing by a shot to Garrick Higo in Punta Cana. His quote, I think I'm in a little bit of shock, honestly. It's not how you win a golf tournament, I'll tell you that. I don't deserve to win it. Bogeying the last 3 is inexcusable. I mean, I'm obviously nervous, but unfortunately I'm prone to that at times. You can call it lapse in concentration. It's not a yippee thing. It's not like one of those things, but a bad time to do it. Just feel for our guy there. That's
my heart broke yesterday watching that all go down. But kudos to him. He's always been real, though, and I appreciate him, getting in front of a microphone and kind of it's I did what I did. I didn't deserve to win it. I hurt for him yesterday. I really did.
Yeah, he had a good line in there too. I don't have the exact quote, but basically he was like, your mind knows what to do and it's telling you what you need to be doing, but sometimes your body just doesn't agree. And I was like, God, dude, I'm familiar with that. Yeah, just shout out to Joel for speaking after that heartbreak and hopefully good things to come for him.
And shout out to Garrick getting the win. No clothing sponsors. Guy was out there in a Boston Red Sox hat. I was sitting there. We were talking about it. And I was at Easter, and I was talking with my brother and my dad, and we're like, oh, maybe he's sponsored by New Era, and they're just give him a hat to wear, But it doesn't make a whole lot of sense because he's South African. So but shout out to him getting a win. I think if you ask anybody that's kind of been around Euro Tour, things like that, are familiar with foreign golfers outside the United States, people would say he's probably one of the most talented ones out there. Can't putt, He still struggles to putt. The guy hits the ball a freaking mile, though.
Yeah, he's still in his early 20s. He won
25, yeah.
Yeah, he won in Congaree a couple years ago. I think that might have been COVID era type stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, lefty bomber from South Africa. He's for sure a good player. All right. No easy transition there. We're going to get into fan mail real quick. We did have a couple that came through. Let me pull these up. So, okay. Look, Susie writes in frequently. My wife, for those who do not know. I know where she's coming from with this message. She's referring to your question last week about the needless breaks in the school year. Look, from her perspective as a teacher, I get it. These are important times. But I got to say, reading through this, like, it's kind of just sounds like, the kids and maybe even the teachers just need to suck it up a little bit.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. Look, especially like my kids were on spring break last week. They go back. They have 4 weeks of school left.
Right.
Like, I'm sitting here listening today. I've got so many teachers in my neighborhood. It's nice outside. We're kind of outside playing this evening. Oh, only 4 more Mondays. Like, yeah, I have 4 more Mondays until the following month where I still have to go to work.
See, I don't even mind that part of it. My thing is, like, the more I thought about it with you and you were talking, the 4 weeks left after spring break, like, Susie writes in her message here. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Sorry, babe. But, talking about how, like, the kids get antsy or whatever once the weather turns. I'm like, yeah, don't give them a week off in the middle of the good weather then. Just, like, tough it out to the end of the year.
No kidding.
Year early and be done,
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, yeah, it's like, it's a tough scene in my neighborhood, especially when the pool opens. You get down there, there's a handful of dads and moms that are not teachers, that are married to teachers. And it's like Sunday, they're like, we want to be down to the pool until 8:30 at night. It's like, some of us have to go to work tomorrow, But it's like everybody gets antsy when it doesn't matter if they had breaks, no breaks, whatever. They're going to be antsy. I'm an adult and I'm getting antsy because it's nice outside right now. Like, that's all you want to do is be outside.
Yeah.
So
teach them some perspective and perseverance,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Tough shit.
Like, do what the rest of us working adults do. We look at it out the window until 5:00.
Exactly. Yeah. And, we're going to go from New Year's Day to Memorial Day without a day off. You know what? That's
tough break for everybody. Yeah.
Anyway. So yeah, there's that one. And then Tommy Turndog's back with another golf question. I thought this was a good one. He wants to know, what's the worst swing tip you've ever been given and how long did it hinder your game? I can take the ball on this one. I think it might still be hindering my game at this point. And this is no offense to anyone. But back in JV golf, our coach, shout out to Mr. Fallhaber, I remember on the driving range one time, told me to get my thumbs like pointed at my ear in the backswing. And so to this day, I am plagued and I'm trying to correct it now. But like, just like the wrong wrist angle that you want. I get across the line at the top. I don't keep my hands far. I have no width in my swing. I struggle to create width because of this. So like I ingrained this horrible swing tip from high school, and I'm still trying to undo it, 20 years later.
Yeah, so I saw that and I was trying to think of one that I've gotten, and the only one that I can like legitimately think of was not even a full swing. It was like a chipping pointer. And look, I don't doubt this person that it probably works. It's maybe just not for me. But it was like 6-7 years ago. Like you got to get the heel up a little bit. Like get closer to the ball. And I've heard that, especially against the, going into the grain. And look, it could have been my fault. Like maybe I wasn't taking it properly or doing it properly, or I didn't have the right ball position or whatever it was. That plagued my chipping for quite a while. Like trying to get the heel up.
Yeah.
And like, I just didn't have any like height on the ball. So like if I had to like, I'm doing it, but like I'm not getting like if I had to like carry some stuff, like I wasn't getting any height on it. It was a mess. It kind of messed with my head for quite a while, chipping the ball. But yeah, that was the one. Not naming any names. They do listen to the show. They might find out that it's them, but yeah, that messed with my head for quite a while, chipping the ball.
Yeah, I can get that. I mean, the chipping is so like finicky. Like there's so many different ways to do it. So many stances, like you said, the way you hold, like hands high, hands low, all kinds of stuff that just like, if someone's telling you to do something, there's a very good chance that you're not going to set up to it in the right way to implement it or swing it the right way to implement it. So
yeah,
that's always tricky when you get chipping advice.
Well, and by the way, shout out to Tommy Turndogs. I saw him on Friday when I took my kids out to the driving range. I thought I had seen what I saw on Facebook. He had a second hole-in-one at number 5 at Apple Valley.
Yeah, I can't remember if we talked about that. Maybe I talked about it in person with somebody. So yeah,
I don't think we talked about it on here. He did have a second hole-in-one and another scramble. Pretty cool hole. If you've never played Apple Valley and you're in Ohio, highly recommend going up there. They've got some cabins. You can even stay in the cabins and go play the golf course. It's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. I think it's in Mount Vernon, Ohio, but it is 100% worth it.
Nice. Yeah. Shout out to Tommy Turndogs for that one. That's second ace. That's 2 in 2 years, I believe. He could probably correct us on that, but either way, awesome. Great news. Love to see people getting hole-in-ones. Maybe
love to see it. Love to see it.
And with that, we're gonna head over to the patio. Quick patio beer segment. We're close to patio beer season. I got 2 weeks left until this race, and then I'm back. I cannot. The post race beer that I have is it's gonna be a top like 3 beer in my life. I think it's been hard to go April without beer. So shout out to me for sticking strong. Anyway, do you want to go first? I think I went first last week.
No, I'm going to go first. Obviously, a lot of talk about ex-caddies and things like that this week. Joe Greiner getting a win, coming off Max Homa's bag. Sounds like it was Joe that kind of wanted to go separate ways, which, brings up a good question. So as far as exes go, and we can even keep this specific to golf if we wanted to, but I think, what's the biggest flex? Maybe do one golf, one not golf that you can have towards an ex, looking good compared to to an ex-girlfriend or ex-partner in golf or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, golf, that seems pretty obvious there. We just witnessed part of it. The winning with somebody else, right? Steve Williams famously did that back in the day. He won, I think, at WGC with Adam Scott after the split with Tiger.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
He had a famous quote about oh, this is the best day of my life or one of the best, most rewarding wins ever. Meanwhile, he'd won 10, 12 majors with Tiger. So I think that's probably the pinnacle in the golf format. I think that, or if you take it to the amateur game, maybe you've got a longtime partner and you guys decide to split up or whatever, and then you go win the member or whatever with the new guy.
Yeah,
that, you know what, that kind of happened to me. You and Gunther did that to me.
This was a setup for that, by the way, at least the golf one.
Yeah, well, now I will say that was more just we wanted to mix it up or whatever.
Yeah, it wasn't a breakup per se.
Yeah, but still, the more I reflect on it, the more it does hurt. I'm man enough to admit that.
On a note on that, so we're in the pro shop this weekend, and my kids are reading the plaques over there, and they're like, "Oh, Dad, look, your name's on here. Oh, you're with Ryan." It's "Oh, look, you and Ryan won this." And I was well, I'm gonna have another one on this one because, me and Andrew, Gunth, we were partners and we won last year. And they're like, "I think you should ditch Ryan."
Kids are ruthless, man.
Just brutal. Threw him under the bus. I'm I have 2 wins with Ryan. They were my 11-year-old was they were kind of a long time ago. 3-4 years ago. That's a long time. Yeah. I'm not wrong about that. I won't steal yours, but maybe.
Look, I think we're doing the club a service by not doing this. I think the 2 teams might honestly be more dangerous if we did it.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you, just your guys' personalities together, you're not going to be as mean to him. Maybe Ryan will flourish a little more. me and Gunth kind of have like the same, like the problem with me and Gunth is we get too high on the highs and too low on the lows. You know what I mean? That might be a problem, but it also might intimidate people. If we're rolling, it could be a problem.
Yeah,
like a major problem for people.
Yeah, I'm just saying in terms of like handicaps. Like
and handicaps. Yeah. That was going to be the next thing. Like the handicap setup. Like you give me a guy in the first flight that's going to get like 4 shots in a 9-hole match or 3 shots in a 9-hole match, bud. It might be over. Like.
Yeah, and then Ryan would we'd drop him out of the first flight, probably looking at second or third or whatever, and that would just be a different ball game as well. So, yeah, that's a good question. Actual exes, I mean, I don't know that. You and I have been so removed from the exes in the dating game for so long. It's like hard to think about answers to these types of questions. But yeah, I mean, there's the obvious, like, you move on and just the situation's better. The appearance is better. Like there's all that, Yeah.
I think like, as far as like non-golf related, I think the biggest flex you can do, and I've seen this in person several times, like going to the gym and just becoming a better version of yourself. Like the one that they wanted when you were dating them, right? Sure. Like in the back of their mind, that's the one they wanted, right? So I think that's a pretty big flex, especially it's like you see someone like 6 months later, you're like, damn, dude's lost like 35 pounds. He's like kind of jacked now. And you're like, they might have won that breakup. You know what I mean? Like there's always a winner and a loser.
I think that's a good one, especially because, if you go buy like a new car or whatever like that, you're just buying your way through it, right?
Yeah, you're not earning the stars. Yeah.
Yeah, you're earning it when you do something like that. That's the big key.
Yeah, I was going to say that, or like you get a new job, obviously, that making more money and things like that. Like that would be kind of a flex a little bit. And maybe not showing it, but like they just hear it through the grapevine that you like got some kind of promotion or something like that because you no longer have to leave work at, right at 5 o'clock. Or I think that would be kind of a flex too. And it's always like something that, like, I feel like the getting in shape thing is something that they'll hear through the grapevine, right? It's like, dang, like, have you seen Mitch lately? Looking pretty good. Like, you know what I mean? Like someone says it to them. Like it's the same thing with the job thing, right? Like if you got a promotion, like someone, like you have shared friends, if you dated for a while and it's like, yeah, like Mitch, yeah, you got this new job. Like it's a subtle like blow, right?
Oh yeah.
Anything subtle. It can't, like you said, it can't be like, oh, like, dang, you see that car he's driving around? Like, I don't like that. That's not subtle. That's very like in your face. Like I'm newly single and I'm trying to have a nice car to take people out. They take girls out in.
Yeah, 100%. All right, my question. This kind of spurred because it's draft week. Got me thinking. Like, what are your favorite sports like moments or events that aren't about the actual like game being played? And I've got a massive list of them here too. So
first thing that comes to my mind, I think the schedule release for the NFL is like kind of awesome.
Good one. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it's because, well, especially this year, we've got plans to go see the Bengals at Green Bay. Like interested to see when that game's going to be, especially this year. I'm looking forward to that. We split season tickets for the Bengals. So it's like seeing what games and when they're going to be. And then we kind of do picking from there with the people we split with. So like, that's a really good one. If you're talking about not actually playing a game, this is kind of like taking it back to my childhood with all the memories of the home run derby. But I think like a home run derby is kind of a good one.
Yeah, you give me like the late 90s, early 2000s, like
Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire just pounding balls 525 feet.
Junior with the backwards hat.
Yeah, those are such good moments. Like Junior winning it at Fenway, like that like that's where my memories lie with the home run derby. Now like I get pretty excited about the basketball transfer portal. Like,
oh god,
look, it's what's this called? What it is? It's free agency. I follow along though. You got guys that are leaving. You're like, man, I can't believe this guy's leaving. And then you like all of a sudden like your team's on the list of places he could go. Now you're like getting really excited. So those are the ones on the top of my head.
Yeah, I just want to be on record and say the transfer portal call that's a horrible one. Horrible take. Like I said, I've got a full list here. They're like, these are in no particular order, but I just want to list them off. The opening ceremonies of the Olympics.
That's okay.
Cool. Just a global event that happens. Super Bowl halftime show. I'm not that into it, but that's a big one that people love and get excited about. Obviously the draft itself. NBA free agency. Used to get the Woj bombs, that was always a fun time on Twitter.
See, I don't see how that's different than my transfer portal thing. Like
the college stuff is just so like, I don't know. It's just so gross now. And it's like, you got these guys that are, what was the one that we just saw? Dude's trying to get like a 6th or 7th year of eligibility and transfer again or something. I don't know.
Well, there's been multiple guys go in the transfer portal that probably don't have eligibility left.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, bro, just go to the Kazakhstan and play professional basketball, make your $100,000 a year, like call it a day. Like that is bad. I would agree.
Like these teams were like, I think didn't Baylor like the whole team left?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
and yeah, like I don't know. I hate it all. Anyway, you mentioned the home run derby, but I think like the ones now or whatever, I don't even know the rules anymore. They've changed it so many times.
Yeah, it's it.
Like the old school derbies were so sick.
Like the 10 outs and yeah. Oh yeah.
The dunk contest used to be good too. That kind of stinks because you don't get the participation. Kind of getting into the ones that I'm considering for my actual pick here. I'm not a college basketball junkie like you are, but Selection Sunday is so much fun.
Yeah, I mean,
like seeing the bracket and getting it in your hands is like that's a great.
It's top notch feeling.
There's a lot from the Masters, like the green jacket ceremony itself. The par 3 contest, the guy skipping it on 16, like they have a lot of little weird quirky things around the event that hit. The 7th inning stretch in baseball, I think just like the camaraderie, the tradition,
it's good. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not related necessarily to what's happening on the field at all, but just like it's part of it all.
We went to a Reds game on Tuesday last week and stayed for the 7th inning stretch and left right after it.
Yeah.
But my kids didn't really understand why. And then once they got to do it, they're like, oh, this is that song. It's like, yeah, like when we sing and they're like swaying back and forth. It's a great tradition.
And then obviously like the whole tailgating scene, the scenes around college football.
Yeah. Saturdays, I mean, that's
pretty undefeated. Shout out to Lee Corso for his
retiring.
Really feels like the end of an era. I mean, that's like what 20-something years of our lives.
Yeah, the headgear and all that stuff. Yeah, I was gonna say College Game Day, the show, kind of.
Yeah, that
itself is kind of one of those things. That's like not a game, but it's like part of it, right? Part of college football.
Last but not least for me, the combination of the podium and the cool down room in F1 is undefeated. Especially the cool down room. Good. You get you can get some heated moments, you get some like funny moments. I like those little behind the scenes peeks that you get from that. But yeah, if I had to pick one, I think it's hard. I'm not even that big of a fan, but I think Selection Sunday might.
Yeah, Selection Sunday is pretty good. Yeah. Well, I was going to say, like, going on the golf route, like, I think the Ryder Cup team selection is pretty good. Like, I look forward to that, especially because you always have, like, those 1 or 2 guys that are like, all right, who's getting – like, we kind of have an idea, other than a couple spots, and it's kind of cool to get that filled out and see who's going to get snubbed and things like that.
Yeah, that's a good call out, too. Yeah, if they did more of, like kind of how the President's Cup, when they, reveal the teams and the matchups and they kind of do the snake back and forth. If they did that for the Ryder Cup, those moments would be... Yeah,
that would be pretty cool.
Would be sick. Yeah.
It's a good question.
Thank you. Always good to end on a sports note, but that's it for this week. Episode 102 in the books. Thank you all for listening or watching. Please smash the like button, subscribe, rate, and review the show. Follow us on social media at Back9Sixpack. And until next time, cheers.
See ya. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Back9Sixpack. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Back9Sixpack for all your content needs. We'll see you guys next week. Cheers.